Hi guys, Ryan here from DefenestratedMedia with our Birdemic 2, The Resurrection review. So Nick, what'd you think of Birdemic 2, The Resurrection?
Well, we haven't even watched it yet.
So why the fuck are we even out here?
We're hunting birds.
Why are we hunting birds?
Birdemic 2.
We saw it and it was awful.
Why is it so awful?
Well, everything. Everything is awful about it. I don't even know where to start. I mean, like, we're not even talking about Birdemic 1, which is remembered as one of those awesomely bad movies where you can enjoy it, kind of like The Room. Birdemic 2 is just awful for the wrong reasons. You know, it gave that director who made it a big ego boost, and he thought, oh wait, I'm just gonna make Birdemic 1, but shittier on purpose.
It's pretty much the same movie as before, just different characters.
Well, no, not even different characters. It introduces two new... Well, yeah, there are different characters, but it introduces two more protagonists, which is a big burden on a film. Who the fuck does that? But they're the same characters, basically.
The more people, the lower the IQ.
Exactly. They all act incredibly stupid with their situation. It starts out with like this stupid movie director trying to get in this waitress's pants who's like an aspiring actress, and you know, it's like, oh yeah, you should audition for my movie. I'm like, he can't even decide if he's like a big movie director or an indie film guy. Like he talks about how he's an indie film guy and or a big director, and it's like, big movies just don't understand heart and don't go over the plight of like a movie maker. Like, you know, Ed Wood did.
Ed Wood.
Well, I can tell you one thing. This movie is like getting hit by a piece of wood in the face. So it's like at one point, it's always that scene, just like in the first one, where they are introduced with this big bout of success. Like, even though these movie producers are all like, oh, there are no sex scenes in this script or movie, they're just like, we're gonna fund your movie for $1 million! And then they're doing the stupid clapping scene, which was in the first one. And remember, this was in the first movie, and it's even dumber, and it looks sadder, because it's just like, ha, we're in on the joke, you guys.
Yeah.
And
we can be part of it too. We're making fun of ourselves.
And she gets the part in his own film.
Yeah.
And then they're just together all of a sudden.
Filmception. It's a film inside of a film.
Yeah, it's a film inside of a film. No, she was gonna, remember how she was gonna leave? She was gonna leave Hollywood. She's like, I'm done being an actress. And she's like talking about her career as she apparently doesn't have a career. And he's like, oh, you're gonna be famous one day and have your own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And it just pans to some like random person who I've never even heard of. What was her name? Exactly. Like, I just can't even conceive how, I mean, it would have been amazing if he actually just thought, oh yeah, you know, I'll show them, and he'd just try harder to make a better movie, but since he's a sucky filmmaker, it would just fall so hard, and then it would be like a good bad movie. But this isn't a good bad movie, because it, like we've been saying, it's the same film over again, and you can see this by the reintroduction of like the scientist in the first one on the bridge. Remember, he was on the bridge too, and I don't even want to talk about what he says and what happens after that.
The cavemen.
Yes.
Of course, it has to have zombies as well.
Oh yes. No, but before the zombies, we have the cave people. The scientists are talking about birds used to kill men and how they're stuck in the tar because they're at that museum in Hollywood. And what happens is, like, it just flashes back randomly, and I mean out of nowhere, to these two cave people having sex with each other in loincloths. And then the birds come out of nowhere and kill them. But then they come back.
Yeah.
They come back in the same... The birds actually don't appear in the film until like the first 30 minutes. And even then, that's the flashback, but we're not even going to count that. Tell them about the first animal attack, though.
Oh god, there is an awfully CG jellyfish that attacks out of nowhere.
Just some random woman in the ocean.
And it looks like it was made in Microsoft Paint.
Blender.
Or Paint.net.
No, the ambulance later looks like it was made in Paint. No, see, so she just runs out of the water with and she's just like, help, help, past all these other people who weren't in the film.
Random bystanders at the beach.
And their faces were blocked out like many other people and things.
For a very independent film, it is awfully
so
censored.
much shit. And the other thing is that when she runs in front of it, Nick, can you light me up? Come on. When she runs, like, for help, got the other way. She just runs in front of the 4 protagonists, and then she literally just, like, gets on the ground and lays down in front of them, and then she has scratches all over her, like fake blood scratches, because, you know,
like she got mauled by a bear.
And yet it's a jellyfish, like she got stung by a jellyfish. And they're like, help me! And she's trying not to laugh as she's saying that, and then they're like, oh my god, call 911! So they call 911, and they're just standing in front of this shitty-looking ambulance that literally looked like it was made in paint, and just drives away. But it has nothing to do with the rest of the film. This happens. The first 45 minutes are nothing. And then, like in the first one, the birds attack after a sex scene. When the two, half of the protagonists, because there's 4 of them now, because this is stupid, they have sex. And then the next day...
The cameraman is in the shot.
Oh yeah, the cameraman is in the shot. As it pans around the room, no, he wasn't, he was a sound man, just like leaning up against the door, and you could see him in the mirror. Like, there were legitimate fuck-ups in the movie, kind of like that are funny. Like in this other scene, when they're driving, there's a hood cam, and they're up against a green screen, and the green screen's reflecting off of the hood of the car. But then there are just times...
Spare tire when they're driving?
Yes, at other times when they're driving in the movie, the mounted cam in the car, you can see the spare tire at the bottom of it. And when they're driving in front of the... well, no, behind the car, you can see the dashboard. It's like, great job trying, you guys. Oh yeah, so we're probably like, what, 43 minutes in the movie. And the birds do come after a sex scene, like in the first movie. And it's actually now, despite, there's this overbearing message about global warming.
The global warming.
Oh yeah, global warming. Man is evil, global warming. They just talk about it. It's like this director masturbates to an inconvenient truth. Because he just reiterates what Al Gore's been saying for like ever. When the birds finally do come, it's because of this blood rain. This red rain just rains from the sky
it's
over
not even called blood rain.
I'm just calling it blood rain because it looks like blood. And it rains over a tar pit. Where
and the best part is it is at a tourist trap, and in the film, the people are walking around normally.
Yeah, as the blood rain's going on.
As the blood rain is going on.
And then thousands of prehistoric birds come out of the tar.
Of one tar pit.
One little tar pit. And the 2 cavemen who were killed in that flashback. And it's like, what? And then they start attacking and dive bombing. And then as they're
no explosion noises this time.
Oh yeah, no explosion noises. Let's
go for a little bit realistic.
Yeah. Just the birds will explode, but there won't be any noises. At one point after this, when they finally encounter the birds, and we're probably at like 45, 50 minutes now. They're filming the movie, and the birds just all appear out of nowhere in the studio where they're filming and attack them and kill some of the crew. And then like
the nude scene.
Oh yeah, the nude scene. Then they attack another film going on. It's just an excuse to put women's tits in the movies. So we have this bullshit going on, and then it's like, oh okay, all right. The clothes hangers make their triumphant return. They just grab clothes hangers off of a rack, and then they pull guns out of nowhere. And I mean out of nowhere, and they're just shooting them. And the muzzle flashes, like in the first one, don't match up at all.
And the recoil that they have is usually a pistol's recoil is about like, not that little, but they have like they're holding like M1911s, and the recoil is like a Desert Eagle. It's like,
yeah, they should have been hitting it themselves in the face.
Yeah.
I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous.
No reloading, barely any muzzle flashes, recoil is off. They don't even have a proper budget to ask someone how a gun looks when it shoots.
And the other thing is, like, the first 2, Alan Buch and his stripper wife or whatever, no, they're not married yet.
Ow.
Suck it up. See,
we're hunting now.
Yeah, they don't even mention until like later in the film, oh yeah, this happened to us earlier. Even when someone else randomly talks about the incident that happened in the town they were in. And then like 10 minutes later, they're just like, oh, we were in that place, and there was rain just like this, even though there wasn't rain like that in the first movie. And then that rain does make a triumphant return, much like the clothes hangers, and it resurrects zombies in a cemetery that they were driving through to escape the birds.
And the zombies can be killed by getting shot in the chest.
Well, not even just that. They like couldn't even like just use 3 and then have 3 more chasing them out. They kill all the well, they don't kill all the zombies. They kill the first group of zombies, but then the same group is chasing them out of the cemetery or
like
whatever.
5 minutes later.
Yeah, exactly. And it's ridiculous. Then they go to a zoo, and we get another overbearing environmentalist message. Oh, we can't, and it's the same thing that the Woodman, who also appeared in the movie earlier, said. There's like the guy, and he talks about how he almost died in a fire, and that's how he met his wife, and it doesn't even have anything to do with the film. It's just wasting our time. But if killer birds and zombies weren't enough, fucking cavemen.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, no, I think that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. I mean, I literally jokingly said to him, I was like, they're not actually gonna put zombies in
The amount of times
this.
we had to pause this movie and take a breather, I've never had to stop a movie to take a breather.
Like,
and have to step outside to scream.
Like, we had done this about the cavemen when they first appeared, and then the zombies. But then when the cavemen, when they actually like went to try and save the cavemen, and then they started attacking them and beating the shit out of them.
With bones.
With bones. They look like the stereotypical cavemen. And, oh, I'm out. You gotta light me again. Yeah, and they just have this, they're just beating the shit out of them.
So the dead skin just falling off.
Are you filming? Alright. Oh yeah, and you gotta love the way they try and pad out the film. Like, before the birds attack, and it's just them, I mean, besides them walking on the beach and everything, like with that dumb broad and the jellyfish, they're at that museum where they meet the scientists. Yeah, you're tired, aren't you?
Oh,
It's such a yawn fest. Because it just like pans over all the skeletons that are in the museum.
And then
it's
they just leave.
No, don't forget about the boy, Alan Bach and the woman from the first one. They adopted him. They
yeah.
and he's just like.
And you can tell the little girl the little girl did not want to be involved in this movie because the first one was so bad they couldn't even get her. So they had to come up with some shitty subplot of why she isn't there, and she died because of the fish they ate when she ate the same fish that they all ate.
And he has like the most uninterested face. He's like, I really wish so-and-so could be here, but then she ate but it's too bad she died, got sick from the fish she ate, and ate and died.
He also forgot his lines halfway through.
Oh yeah, because he was just like looking at the lines because the director probably had to like write it on a fucking big title card because that was probably their 7th take. Which is probably the most takes they did. That's probably the only scene they actually redid. Because you can tell they were just like, the acting overall is just like, yeah, I'm acting. And then we have to worry about the camera work, which in the first one, you don't really pay attention to it. I mean, it has that typical trope of, you know, they use 2 different cameras, so it's noticeable that and I mean 2 different cameras, like the quality is different. But also the camera is really shaky at times, and it's just like a slow shaky, like Stanley Kubrick would just slap the director in the face.
Shaky, shaky, shaky,
like,
shaky, shaky.
And not even Cloverfield or Chronicles shaky, just like
where it's actually supposed to be shaky. It's literally they took it and just started walking with the camera.
Yeah, like they didn't even have like, oh hey, let's try and be stable. They're just like, yep, let's film him, and it's just like the audio. Now it's notorious in that beginning scene where the audio.
Hi.
Yeah, hi. There's this waitress and her audio, she like clips the audio with her voice. It does it again the second one to be like, huh, see? Birdemic won, haha, funny. But in this movie, you can tell they made so many shitty audio mistakes, and at times you can't even hear them. And I mean, literally at one point, they had to dub this girl's lines over again because they didn't have they were too lazy to reshoot them.
Oh yeah, and before the scene before that, they call her on the phone, and he's talking, and it's like ambient in the background, and then picks it up, and she's in a bar, and you can't even hear anything.
And the bar sounds were added too. You can tell they added them.
Yeah, and
they
it was
just made them
so loud.
And that's not even the only scene where this happens. There are just so many random scenes where they're just outside or inside, and I mean those are careless mistakes that are funny, but there aren't more of those. And shit like the zombies and the cavemen just ruin that and take the fun out of what would have been a watchable bad movie. I mean, you can recall all of these funny moments from Birdemic 1, but at times with Birdemic 2, you can only think of the shit that happened in Birdemic 1 that they're just remaking. Oh yeah, remember another good fuck up they made was this guy runs out of a building somewhere and he's like flapping his arms because everyone.
Yeah, and there's no birds. They
forgot to add the bird attacking him, and then he dies, and they just walk over and like they check his pulse. he's dead. And they do that for like all the people who die.
Everybody who's dead, who you know is dead, they see them get their throats cut by the birds, which by the way is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
And the bird acid.
Yeah.
The bird acid.
When the birds attack these people, like these people's faces are like ripped open, they're decapitated, and they still find the need to inform the other people that they are dead.
No, they have to check their pulse over their torn neck. They're like, he's dead. And actually with that guy, he was running out of a movie theater because they go and look in the door, and then there's just a movie theater full of people being attacked by shitty CGI birds, and they're just sitting in their seats like, oh god, we're being attacked! And then they're like, oh god, we gotta get out of here. When like, every scene before that and every scene after that.
They have to help the people.
Yeah, they were just like, we gotta help them, and then there's like a smorgasbord full of people.
The one chance they actually had at survival to make like a large group of people to probably survive, they just let them go. They let them die.
They just like, all right, well, you know what, and then they're like, oh, hey, let's stop here and let's stop here. Just actually, at times, when they shoot the birds
the birds get shot and symmetrically
they break apart.
And like symmetrically, like there's a line
straight down the middle.
It goes,
and they use that same shot over and over again. They use the same shots for all the signs and the bars they're at, everything. Oh, speaking of bars, the Wayne Brady lookalike makes an appearance because everything in Birdemic 1 has to be in Birdemic 2 because that's the only thing you're gonna like about it because the director's like, I just want to make another shitty movie without actually, you know, derping. Well, actually, he did derp by making it that way. And let's talk about the ending. The other guy, there were like 5 people at this point. The 4 protagonists and then one of the camera crew guys. Who, he just gets his throat cut. He like walks over, he's like, and he falls in a pool because they're like at a motel or something. And then he's just floating there. And then like his legs start to sink. And then he like bobs himself up so it looks like he's like floating on top like he's dead.
And when they die, they're still breathing.
Oh, and then one girl who was dead just had her tongue sticking out like
typical death.
Yeah, typical death.
1980s B-movie death.
1960s, yo. I think they just needed the X's over the I's, and that would have been the icing. You know what I mean?
So and that is why we're here.
I mean, we want to do the whole thing like, haha, we're hunting birds because it drove us crazy, but it's like, this is retarded.
Now we're fucking pissed.
But yeah, I mean, that's what I said. I'm like, oh, we'll review Birdemic 2, and we'll be hunters after. But now we're like, this is an exaggeration. This is like, wow. And you know what? People might say, well, what were you expecting? Honestly, I thought it was a 50-50 shot at first. I thought we were going to get another awesomely bad movie, or we were going to get what we're describing now. And unfortunately, it was the latter. And, oh, actually, the real ending where the birds for like 5 minutes are just flapping their wings in the same place in front of the Hollywood sign, and then all of a sudden, when the credits start rolling and the music kicks up, then they go. Yeah, then they fade away. Then it's the Wayne Brady song where it's like, hanging out with the family, having ourselves a party.
Hey now, hanging out with the family,
having ourselves a party.
All right.
Sounds like my kind of movie.
No, it's not your kind of movie. Birdemic 1 is your kind of movie. The Room is your kind of movie. This is not. This is like, don't watch Birdemic 2 because we can't give this guy any sort of motivation to make a third one. You know what sucks? I know I'm gonna see it. If he made a third one, I would see it. Yeah, that's how I felt too. That's he literally.
I've done this plenty of times. I know what I'm doing.
Like, probably the thing I have to say finally is like, the best thing Tommy Wiseau did with The Room is not make a sequel, and it's been 10 years, and I doubt he's going to, which is good. So he doesn't ruin the awesomeness of that movie. But honestly, I don't want to ever see Birdemic 1 either, because it just kind of makes it just like, ew. So, like I said, don't see Birdemic 2. The Resurrection.
The Res.
The Res.
Erection.
Erection.
Happy birthday, Mr. President. Alright.
I'm done too, man.